Download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
So we've been encouraged to continue with the tempo so as to see that insurgency is greatly eliminated from the country.
Synergize effectively to sustain prevailing stability. President Buhari charges armed forces and security services at strategic meeting. Judiciary and legislature to support creation of special crimes courts to handle corruption cases.
While I trust that these bills will be expeditiously and favorably considered by the Senate, please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration.
Nigeria's aviation sector soon to have a facelift as President Buhari transmits reform bills to Senate.
Build toilets to keep Nigeria clean.
Plus, Vice President flags off national campaign to end open defecation as World Toilet Day is marked. Good evening and thanks for joining us on Network News. I am Kenneth Imma Abodike. Now also reading with me tonight in Lagos is Jennifer Igwe, while Caleb Goching is standing by in Jos. Debabaris Yedomanweke will join us later from Port Harcourt. The armed forces and other security services have been tasked to collaborate more effectively towards sustaining the prevailing stability, respite and peace enterprise across the country for sustainable growth and development of the economy. President Muhammadu Buhari threw the challenge while presiding over a strategic meeting of the National Security Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
At the crucial meeting were the Minister of Defense, the National Security Advisor, the Army and Naval Chiefs, Chief of Defense Intelligence, representatives of the other service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police. Also in attendance include Directors General of the Department of State Services and the National Intelligence Agency, as well as other stakeholders. The meeting, which lasted over 3 hours, critically analyzed the security situation in Nigeria and came to the conclusion that normalcy is gradually returning to all parts of the country.
The security situation in the country is stable. Banditry has been reduced to the barest minimum. Kidnapping has been reduced significantly. The epicenter of this kidnapping that you know generally in the northwestern part of the country, especially Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, they are all camp now, very calm. The insurgency in the northeast on a daily basis have been degraded, and many of the insurgents are surrendering to the authority and they are giving up their arms.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who expressed delight with the achievements recorded so far in the fight against crime and criminality, urged the security chiefs not to relent until Nigerians are fully satisfied that their safety and security are guaranteed.
So we've been encouraged to continue with the tempo so as to see that insurgency is greatly eliminated from the country, and then the politicians and the hunters that have been working with us and other stakeholders, we've been encouraged to work more closely with such group of people so as to have the information that we require, so as to have the support that we require in order to defeat any form of criminality in the country.
IGP Muhammad Adamu also used the forum to assure the FCT residents that with the steps taken so far by the police and the FCT administration, there will be no hiding place for criminal elements in Abuja and environs. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
A strong case has been made for the nation's legislative and judicial arms of government to fully support the creation of special crimes court to specifically handle corruption cases in the greater interest of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari said this while declaring open a national summit on diminishing corruption in the public service. The president insists that time has come for Nigeria to reclaim her traditional values of honesty, integrity and hard work towards achieving a sustainable future. State House correspondent Musambo again has the details.
Highlights of the event was the public presentation of the report on the constituency projects tracking exercise by the ICPC, which corroborated the widely held belief that such projects are conduit for corruption. President Muhammadu Buhari noted with concern that in the past 10 years, 1 trillion naira has been appropriated for constituency projects, but the impact of such huge spending on the lives of Nigerians can hardly be seen.
The ICPC has my full support and the support of this government to hold fully to account contractors, complicit public servants, and project sponsors who divert funds meant for constituencies or other people-oriented welfare projects of our government, or who by other means reduce the quality and value of such public projects.
He described as delightful that through the effort of the ICPC, some contractors are returning to site to execute projects hitherto abandoned, saying, however, that the war against corruption cannot be won without prevention and enforcement.
This administration will continue to support anti-corruption agencies to recover all ill-gotten wealth and prosecute offenders. We will ensure that all fully recovered physical assets are sold and the proceeds remitted to the Treasury.
President Buhari explained that his administration is working hard towards bringing corruption to an end as existential threat to Nigeria, but this, he said, can only be achieved through effective collaboration and cooperation of all arms and tiers of government.
I therefore urge the legislature to fast-track the passage of the Special Crimes Court Bill to handle corruption cases. Passage of this bill is a specific priority of this administration's economic recovery and growth plan.
Messages of goodwill from the legislature and the judiciary indicate genuine support for a corrupt-free Nigeria.
The judiciary, under my watch, will never condone any act of malfeasance among judicial officers. I will do everything possible to stamp out every form of unethical conduct from our fold.
Over the next budget cycles, we will be systematically increasing the funding of law enforcement and other anti-corruption agencies. We will also be benchmarking their performances to ensure that value for taxpayers' monies are met.
The ICPC chairman, Professor Bolaji Owasonoye, had earlier made some shocking revelations from the agency's enforcement and corruption prevention actions in the public service.
ICPC will take enforcement actions, including recovery of diverted funds, name and shame, and prosecution of the most serious cases of infraction, while putting some MDAs on a watch list due to their vulnerability or the propensity to corruption. We recommend, sir, that diversion or non-payment or remittance of tax, of pension, health insurance, or any other statutory deduction should attract dismissal of the head of the agency and immediate prosecution.
During the event, 2 distinguished Nigerians were presented the 2019 Public Service Integrity Award. Both were at several times tempted to be corrupt and compromise integrity, but rose above the greed and lure to become examples of integrity.
Your most honored servant reminds you of your promises. Promises? Yes, Your Excellency. Election promises? Yes, Your Excellency. Who remembers them?
From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigeria would have been earning more money from gas than petroleum if the nation's program for exploiting the critical natural resource potential had been followed. This was while playing host to the special envoy of President Obiang Nguema Mbasogo of Equatorial Guinea. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo once again completes the story.
The Special Envoy and Minister of Mines and Hydrocarbons, Gabriel Obiang Lima, was in the State House to present and exploiting the abundant natural gas potentials. He said if Nigeria had followed the laid-out plans of the 1970s for the gas sector, it should have had 12 trains by early 1980s instead of being on just 6 trains at the moment. The Special Envoy thanked Nigeria for the support given to Equatorial Guinea to host the first summit of gas exporting countries in the world taking place on African soil. President Muhammad Buhari and the Special Envoy discussed the similarities the two countries share, both in terms of geographical neighborliness and resources. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has flagged off Clean Nigeria Use the Toilet, a national campaign to end open defecation in Nigeria by 2025. At the event in Abuja, the Vice President reiterated the resolve that further federal government support to state governments in this sector will be based on their commitment to implement the National Wash Action Plan in their respective state. Musbahu Dan Wahab reports that the campaign is a component of the Wash Action Plan.
It is a national call to avoid an international embarrassment of being ranked first in open defecation practice in the world. Leveraging on the World Toilet Day, the call becomes louder as the federal government takes the lead to demonstrate the need to stop the 47 million people still in the practice of defiling the environment.
In Nigeria, end open defecation campaigns.
About 58% of the country are said to be lacking access to basic sanitation, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said Nigeria cannot afford the huge cost, including fatalities, caused by preventable water and sanitation-related diseases. Professor Osinbajo said states and FCT administrations should adopt what he described as a common-sense measure of ensuring availability of sanitation facilities in public places.
It is the primary responsibility of state governments to provide water, sanitation and hygiene services. But the federal government remains committed to supporting the states. Every state initiative will receive as much federal government.
We no longer sit on the fence to meet the 2030 target of stopping open defecation. And the Minister of State for Environment, Sharon Ekiazo, was emphatic at this gathering in commemorating the World Toilet Day.
Not only to do the talking, but take practical steps and actions individually, collectively, as agents of change to ensure everyone has access to eco-friendly sanitation facilities.
A quick check at the conveniences in the hotel where the event is holding. Many of the participants were answering the call of nature. This depicts the usefulness of this facility anywhere one finds him or herself. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
DSS gives reasons for continued detention of Showore, convener of Revolution Now. Plus, Senate receives executive bills on aviation reforms. Details shortly. Stay with us.
National blogger. I travel a lot. Canada. India. Times Square. Hollywood.
Shut down New York, and then we'll be back in India. This tour is going to be fantabulous. I'm telling you the truth. We are shutting down London. But it's been an awesome time hanging out with you. It's time for dance. Hey! You must be on Glow.
Is that your new pickup line?
Glow Super Value Pack. Enjoy more talk time with data and more data with talk time in Nigeria and your favorite international destinations.
Because as a comedian, I like to talk.
So true.
So what do you do? Oh, I'll call you.
Dial *777# to choose a plan. Glow Unlimited.
The Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, invites the Honorable Commissioners for Water Resources in the 36 states and the FCT, permanent secretaries, board chairmen and members, managing directors of river basin development authorities, general managers of water boards, general managers of rural water supply and sanitation agencies, chairmen and executive secretaries of water regulatory commissions, relevant stakeholders and development partners to the 26th regular meeting of National Council on Water Resources with the theme Water, Sanitation and Job Creation, scheduled as follows. Date Wednesday 20th to Sunday 24th November 2019. Venue Justice Idris Legbo Kutigi International Conference Center, opposite Government House, Mina, Niger State. Time 9 a.m. prompt. Ekara Comfort, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
Them girls just they feel me now, cause I get some money, then they feel me now. But then they do me anyhow. I don't get some money, they wanna get it. Oh yeah, shake body. Oh yeah, move body. Make you ring alarm. Oh yeah, shake body.
It is another morning. Not just an ordinary time. Start of a new day. A new beginning. As you prepare everyone for the long day ahead, just anything is not enough. It is only you who makes breakfast special. You make them creamy. You make them tasty. You add vitamins and nutrients we need for a delightful, healthy start to the day.
So start your day right with Hollandia Evap.
Hollandia Evap. Life tastes different. Hollandia.
It's time for us to protect our future.
The Federal Ministry of Health and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, in collaboration with partners, are commencing a second dose of measles vaccination of children 15 months of age from 14th November 2019. All caregivers with children up to 2 years of age should ensure that they visit health facilities, outreach sites, and mobile sessions in their communities to have their children screened for the vaccination with measles second dose. Note that apart from the usual first measles vaccination of 9 months, parents and caregivers now have to vaccinate children 15 months of age with a second dose of measles vaccine to fully protect the children from measles. Remember, November 14th, 2019 is the commencement for the measles second dose introduction in the southern states. Measles kills. Protect your child now. Measles vaccination is free, safe, and effective. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency with support from partners. For further inquiries, call the following toll-free lines: 0803 123 0415.
Niger State Ministry of Water Resources and Dams Development welcomes all participants to the 26th regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources with the theme Water, Sanitation and Job Creation, under the distinguished chairmanship of the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Hussein Suleiman Adamu, holding at Idris Legbo Kutigi International Conference Center, Mina, Niger State, from Wednesday 20th to 24th of November 2019. Time is 9 a.m. daily. Chief host.
The enrollment of staff of federal universities and colleges of education in Nigeria into the Integrated Personnel and Payroll System, IPPIS, will commence on 25th of November and end on the 7th of December 2019. All staff of federal universities and colleges of education in Nigeria are by this notice called upon to present themselves for enrollment into the Integrated Personnel and Payroll System (IPPIS). The required documents for the exercise are as follows: letter of first appointment, letter of last promotion, evidence of transfer of service if any, staff identification card, birth certificate or declaration of age, educational qualification, copy of bank statement for the last 6 months, BVN printout, PFA printout, evidence of change of name if any. Officers from the IPPIS department in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation will be on ground to conduct the enrollment exercise. All eligible staff of federal universities and colleges of education in Nigeria are enjoined to cooperate and ensure a seamless enrollment exercise. Signed, Ahmed Idris, FCNA, Accountant General of the Federation.
Welcome back as we turn to the National Assembly, where President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate requesting the consideration and passage of 6 aviation sector reform bills. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo also reports that the legislators have passed through the second reading of the Third Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill.
Senate commenced first plenary of the week with the receipt of the transmission of 6 bills from President Muhammadu Buhari on the Nigerian aviation sector. President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan read the bills, which include Civil Aviation Bill, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria Bill, and the Nigerian College of Airspace Management Establishment Bill.
While I trust that these bills will be expeditiously and favorably considered by the Senate, please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration.
Senate has passed the second reading of the third bill that seeks to amend the Public Procurement Act of 2007, which seeks to provide a specific time frame for procurement process proceedings. Senator Danladi Sankara is the sponsor of the bill.
You may wish to note that sometimes it takes up to 6 months to obtain the necessary clearance for projects implementation to commence.
The Senate has advised the Federal Ministry of Health to set up an efficient and proper mechanism for identifying and preventing what it described as proliferation of fake medical reports from public hospitals in Nigeria. This came in a motion moved by Senator Uche Kunife.
The major factor is this insatiable quest for money by these doctors.
Senator Chukwuka Otazi's motion called for a comprehensive review of Nigeria's power sector as Senate resolved to convene a roundtable on the challenges of Nigeria's power sector next month. The Senate has called on all Nigerians to rise up against open defecation as it joined other nations in commemorating 2019 World Toilet Day. Senate has sworn in Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi Dambaba of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), representing Sokoto South Senatorial District of Sokoto State. He replaces Shehu Tambowal of the All Progressives Congress (APC), who was removed by the Court of Appeal. Meanwhile, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan has met with the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria, Kikuta Yutaka, where they both agreed to strengthen the 60-year-old bilateral relations between Nigeria and Japan, especially in the areas of technological transfer and commerce. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to investigate non-combatant helicopter and aircraft crashes belonging to the Nigeria Air Force. The issue was raised under matters of urgent public importance. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The motion from Representative Kuye detailed the number of air crashes recorded by helicopters and other brands of aircrafts belonging to the Nigeria Air Force in non-combatant operations. Lawmakers resolved to find out the immediate and remote causes of these air accidents. Also to be investigated by the House are financial activities of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) for the past 3 years, following allegations of unapproved spending as moved by Representative Benjamin Kalu.
As of today, more than 13 months after the time required by law, the Commission is yet to submit an estimate of its expenditure and income for the year 2019. Thereby grossly failing to comply with the above statutory provision.
An expenditure profile of just 1 year may not be able to unveil to us exactly what has happened in the agency.
The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, during plenary, blasted the notice of members to Presidential Communications seeking approval for passage of 6 aviation sector bills and the issuance of 10.06 billion naira promissory notes to Kogi state governments. At the Committee of the Whole, the House considered and adopted reports on 2 bills sponsored by the Speaker. These are a bill for an act to amend the Labour Act and a bill for an act to provide smooth, orderly transfer of power from one government to another.
Transition can be complicated. This bill seeks simply to make it seamless.
3 House members who recently won their cases at the Election Appeal Court, Obinna Chidoka and Samson Oku of the PDP and Chinedu Oga of APC, were sworn in. In the meantime, the minority caucus at the House of Representatives has expressed displeasure on the outcome of the Kogi and Bayelsa governorship elections.
We are 100% not in support of the outcome of the election.
The outcomes, says the caucus, would be challenged in courts. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has disclosed that a bill for the reform of the National Broadcasting Commission is on its way for the Federal Executive Council's consideration and further legislative action. The minister disclosed this while receiving the National Broadcasting Commission's Reform Implementation Committee's report in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The report, which is in 2 volumes, was handed over to the minister by performance, saying with the recommendations contained in the committee's report, it will revolutionize the NBC in several ways, because for the commission to function optimally, there is the dire need to come up with regulations that will address existing challenges, which is to immediately come up with fresh regulations to promote and protect the local broadcast industry from monopolistic tendencies as it affects advertising tariffs and production of adverts in Nigeria, while the regulations will also ensure that all anti-competitive behaviors are eliminated and sanctions imposed where necessary. There is also the need to regulate content on internet and the web. For this to be realized, Lai Mohammed disclosed that the initiation of a bill to give legal backing to the implementation framework is underway.
The bill will address the existing lacuna in the areas of the regulation of the internet, the ongoing digital switchover, DSO, digital access fee, and the insulation of the regulator from partisan politics.
In line with the presidential directive on the NBC reform, Lai Mohammed maintained that the NBC will be equipped to be able to achieve its goals.
We shall therefore commence the process for the acquisition of modern broadcast equipment for the Commission for the purpose of monitoring and enforcement. Similarly, government shall commence the process of beefing up the material, training, and manpower needs of the Commission.
Chairman of the committee, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, who was full of praise for the honor to serve on the committee, told the minister that their assignment, though tasking, the encouragement the committee enjoyed from the minister was the secret of the success recorded.
It is therefore commendable that the Honorable Minister thought it wise to critically examine the challenge or challenges confronting the Commission in its quest to deliver on its mandate.
It will be recalled that the NBC Code, if amended, will review upward fines for breaches relating to hate speech, inciting comments and indecency from 500,000 naira to 5 million naira, while willful repeat of infractions on 3 occasions after levying will attract suspension of license. Breach of political comments relating to hate speeches and divisive comments will be upgraded to Class A offense in the Broadcasting Code. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture has announced a postponement of the 2019 Abuja Carnival. The ministry apologizes to all invited guests for any inconvenience the postponement might have caused. A new date will be announced for the carnival in due course. As part of its determination to successfully implement Nigeria's correctional policies, the federal government is to organize a summit which will bring together modalities from stakeholders on the process. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, announced this in Abuja. Femi Okewo tells us more.
The President Muhammadu Buhari administration in the last 4 years or so has showed particular interest in the nation's correctional institutions. This has led to the setting up of the Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reform of Prisons in October 2017, and then the signing of the Correctional Services Act in August this year. It is a culmination of the assignment of the Presidential Committee on Prisons, Decongestion and Reforms that the Minister of Justice says a summit which will bring ideas on the implementation of the nation's correctional policies is now being organized.
The prison reform and decongestion exercise has evolved a lot of policies that have now proven to be beneficial.
Chairman of the Presidential Committee and Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello, whose committee has visited 34 correctional centers spread across 16 states of the Federation and released 3,600 inmates, says the summit will also impact on the emergence of illegal detention centers now coming up across the country.
I hope that the government in respective states will rise to put in place standard rehabilitation centers.
The summit is to hold in Abuja before the end of November. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
The Department of State Services, DSS, has reiterated its commitment to the observance and respect for human rights, justice and rule of law and the discharge of its responsibilities. The DSS was addressing the media in Abuja, and while the convener of the Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore, has not been released after a court granted him bail. Francis Fom has details.
The non-release of the leader of Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore, by the DSS after a court has granted him bail generated a lot of discourse, with many accusing the agency of abusing the rule of law.
If Sowore was granted bail,
the Department of State Services, however, explains that people who are supposed to take Sowore through proper documentation have not come forward to do so.
If someone has stood in for Sowore, why wouldn't the person also come and take him and document properly? Documentation is imperative in the discharge of security duty. We saw what happened in the case of Nnamdi Kanu.
The DSS also denied the allegation that guns were used to disperse protesters who stormed the DSS headquarters to demand for the release of Sowore.
We have standard operating procedures on the use of arms. And that brings us to the issue of using gun on them. No gun was used on any person.
Dr. Peter Afunaya also refuted reports that Mr. Femi Falana, who is defending Sowore and others in the suit, visited their office but was not attended to. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is advocating that non-kinetic activities in the northeast be strengthened to rapidly end the decade-long insurgency in the region. This was highlighted by the representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukoro Buratai, while receiving a delegation from the Institute of Security Studies, Regional Office for West Africa, Sahel and Lake Chad Basin, on a working visit to the Army Headquarters, Abuja. The Army Chief notes that identifying logistics supply routes and channels of funding terrorism in the Lake Chad Basin is critical to the ongoing counterinsurgency operations, and promised to collaborate with the Institute to conduct researches on terrorism.
Useful to assist us in also unraveling some knotty issues as regards fighting insecurity, either on insurgency or terrorism, as it were. We are only confronting the symptom, but there are so many other things that lead to the symptoms.
And still talking security, troops of 153 Task Force Battalion on clearance patrol have repelled an ambush along New Marate Dikwa local government area of Borno State and recovered arms from Boko Haram terrorist group. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator Colonel Aminu Eliasu indicates that the rapid response of the troops forced the terrorists to flee in disarray with gunshot injuries. Arms recovered during the encounter include 2 gun tracks, 2 anti-aircraft guns, rounds of NATO ammunitions, and 12.7 millimeters armor piercing incendiary ammunition, among others. 6 police personnel attached to Madobi Divisional Office in Kano State are now undergoing interrogation following the alleged murder of 25-year-old Abdul Kadir Nasirun. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports that the deceased, before his death, was a student at the Federal College of Technical Education, Bichi.
About a fortnight ago, the deceased 25-year-old Abdulkadir Nasru reportedly evaded police arrest after a minor scuffle with one of his friends, which was reported at the Modobi police station. Sensing the implication, his law-abiding father, Nasru Muhammad, voluntarily handed him over to the police when he returned home a few days later. According to the father of the deceased, the prolonged tussle and maltreatment of his son at the police station forced him to leave.
One Inspector Bichi asked my son and other suspects to be searched. While my son resisted, the inspector slapped him and he retaliated.
Narrating his ordeal, brother to the deceased, who was also at the police station, pleaded to take unconscious Abdulkadir to the hospital. His request, however, was not granted until one of the policemen at the scene forcefully extorted the sum of 8,000 naira from him.
Sabiu telling me, DPO, he is in need of 20,000. Where I tell him this 10,000 I have, I will give him 8,000 so that I will use the 2,000 for fueling of car to Kano hospitals.
Already, Kano State Police Command has arrested the policemen who are allegedly involved in the incident.
All the officers are facing orderly room trial. After completing investigation, if these officers are found guilty, they will be dismissed from the post and, of course, charged to court for prosecution.
The deceased family is appealing to government to intervene and let justice prevail. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Now, steps to make the Gulf of Guinea Commission improve as a peaceful and security priority zone are being deliberated by the experts at a meeting preparatory to the 11th Ordinary Session of the Council of the Ministers of the Regional Coastline Nations. Usman Aliyu reports.
The Gulf of Guinea, a coastal community covering more than 6,000 kilometers, rich in oil, minerals and natural resources in the west, Central and Southern Africa. But maritime crimes make this vast region a global concern. The Gulf of Guinea Commission has a mandate, part of which is to revitalize strategies for improved security through ensuring cooperation of the member nations, and that is what these experts here aim to achieve.
Criminal activities in the Gulf of Guinea region, which GGC is expected to focus on and encourage regional solutions to them, are yet to be completely eliminated. Threats to the region's development, to population's well-being, and effective collaboration to ensure a safe and secure environment in which business can grow.
For us to achieve our collective objective and address frontally the present security challenges at the waters of Gulf of Guinea, there is a greater need for member states to cooperate and be committed in honoring their financial obligations to the organization.
It remains to be seen that this regional institution charged with providing solutions to security threats and ensuring regulation in the Gulf of Guinea is able to achieve the mandate for a meaningful engagement. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has reaffirmed her commitment to continue to strengthen her advocacy towards effective health care service delivery for vulnerable Nigerians in rural communities, with special attention to internally displaced women and their families. The First Lady stated this in appreciation of an award conferred on her by the Voice of Women Foundation in conjunction with Women Radio 91.7. Here is State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir with that report.
Improving the health and the general well-being of women, youth and children across the country is the cardinal objective of the First Lady of Nigeria through her Future Assured program and Aisha Buhari Foundation. Her passion and commitment towards uplifting the living standards of Nigerians, especially women and children, in all spheres of life is what attracted the attention of the members and the management of Voice of Women Empowerment Foundation and the only women radio in Nigeria 91.7 to confer on her an award of Women of the Year to spur her to do more in her service to humanity. The First Lady applauded the initiative of the foundation and the Women Radio 91.7 for their laudable programs in promoting the cause of women towards nation building and national integration.
Our women and girls are beginning to find their voices as they challenge the status quo, resulting in reforms. The recent legislation across the states in Nigeria protecting the rights of women and girls are commendable. I want to reaffirm to you that present administration is committed to making poverty history.
She added that NAS Women Radio is underway within the first quarter of next year to complement the work of Women Radio towards promoting gender equity and women advancement.
The radio is going to be NAS Women Radio, Abuja.
Elevate your words, elevate your thoughts, elevate even your ideas.
The convener of the event and the Chief Executive Officer, Women Radio 91.7, Town Okewale Shonaya, described the First Lady as a pillar to Nigerian women.
We want to thank you. We want to appreciate everything you have done for Nigerian women. We're glad that you used your powers to get a license for another women radio in Abuja. What we want is to have women radio across all the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria.
The Voice of Women Conference and Awards is the fourth in its series, which is the initiative of Voice of Women Empowerment Foundation in partnership with Women Radio 91.7, with the sole objective of creating more female-centric programs that will amplify voices of women and foster national development. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
It's time to join Jennifer for the latest stories from our Lagos Network Center. Hello, Jennifer.
Thank you, Kene, and welcome to Lagos. Now, the Nigerian Army has again demonstrated its readiness to tackle security challenges in all forms through better interagency cooperation and technology. This played out at the flag off of Exercise Crocodile Smile 4 under the 81 Division Area of Responsibility. Dr. Guyemi has the report.
Crocodile Smile is currently in effect, and this scenario being played out here is an emergency response by the Nigerian Army to such occurrences when it arises in real time. Gunshots rent the air, a typical feature of any military operation, but in this case, a worthy demonstration of effective response to emergencies and superior tactical ability. This is the commitment of the Nigerian Army as Exercise Crocodile Smile 4 is flagged off.
The exercise will be intelligence-driven and will dovetail into real-time operation. At any moment, a potent threat is encountered. This will be in line with military constitutional rule of conducting internal security operations in aid to civil authority.
For the Lagos State government, the exercise is complementary to its efforts of reducing security threats in riverine communities to the barest minimum.
I need to say that the issue of illegal bunkering and pipeline vandalism have become a major challenge, which I believe this exercise will fully address.
While combating national security challenges, part of the exercise objectives is to further enhance troops' professional knowledge and capacity driven by technology. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
And road safety. Lagos State government has urged officers and men of the Federal Road Safety Corps to bring road crashes to the barest minimum through the use of technology and innovations. This was the message of the government to a sectorial workshop for special marshals in Lagos. Jesuto Moses reports.
Speaking at the workshop, which had as a theme Special Marshal yesterday, today and tomorrow, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who was represented by the Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladainde, urged the officers and men of the Federal Road Safety Corps to ensure regular sensitization of road users to prevent road crashes.
Gone are the days where you stop offenders on the road. Stopping offenders on the road can in itself cause congestion. And so what you want is to deploy technology where you capture the numbers of offenders and then you can then send the violation ticket to their home.
Other stakeholders urged Nigerians to support men and officers of the Corps in ensuring proper road safety culture in Nigeria.
At a point in your development, you need to sit down and look at where you are coming from, where you are, and where you are going to. And where lies our strengths? Where lies our weaknesses? What are the opportunities available? And how can we move forward from here?
So that's why we are looking at how do we get the psychology of the people behind the steering to become respectful and obedient to the road instructions.
Road safety must be a subject that will be in the school curriculum so that they will understand about the need for road safety even before they become drivers or passengers.
In Lagos, Jesuton Moses, NTA News.
That's a contribution from Lagos. Network News continues after this timeout. Stay with us.
Let me give phone to somebody, make I follow up.
It's Wasil, your former driver.